a playlist original.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. My name is Gaius Bowling, and after a week off, Jack and I are back.
It was a well-needed rest. What up, guys? It was a well-needed American rest because America indulges in their stupid holidays. This wasn't stupid, but we indulged pretty hard. So.
We certainly indulged very hard for the July weekend. And I was very happy to be like, hey, do you guys want to take a week off and not record? And I got no resistance, so it was great. I was very happy that there was no pushback about taking the week off. Owen's on with us tonight. Yeah, Owen's not on with us tonight, but we do have our boy Sam Stone back with us again after he hopped on Batman Returns episode with me, and then he did the Amazing Spider-Man Anniversary episode with all of us, and he might end up being like our unofficial like guest correspondent when it comes to comic book things, because he's always willing to participate.
Yeah,
I'm a good pinch hitter. Yeah. If you need a pinch hitter in the budget.
Yeah, like I got like the consumer comic book, like not the lot. Like I don't go past like 1970 in history. This guy just goes all the way back into it. So it's really nice to have his encyclopedic knowledge when it comes to comic books, because it just shows how little I don't know, but it shows how little other people know either. You know, like if
there are plenty of people that will like. I mean, you know, I remember watching. When I saw Captain America Civil War with my dad, he like straight faced asked me, he's like, so do you think like Batman will show up? And I was like, no, man, that's probably not going to happen. Sorry.
Oh, Dad.
Shit. You're like, shit.
I do give credit to people who actually know the difference between DC and Marvel. I do give them credit. Anybody, like, it doesn't matter. If you know the difference, I do give you credit.
That's half the fight.
Yeah.
It really is.
You always get those people that are like, oh, like, is Storm like part of DC? Like, no. Like, are the X-Men DC? No. Like, I don't know. I'm a girl. I don't know. It's always something stupid like that. I was like, come on, guys. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a perfect one for Sam to be on, because we are going to be talking about Thor: Love and Thunder. But before we do that, I guess like the biggest news that we have coming up is that Comic-Con is next week in San Diego after it took a COVID related hiatus. What was it, 2 years?
Yeah, last one was 2019, dude.
2019, yeah, that was the last one I went to, and it was a bummer not having it. It really didn't do. They tried to do the whole virtual thing with the YouTube pre-recorded stuff, and that was a bust. And I didn't really enjoy that, but I know they did like a smaller like in-person thing back in November, but that was like over the Thanksgiving holiday. And
it was to keep licensing it was to keep the contract on them reserving the facility, because if you didn't use it by a certain amount of time, they would lose their chokehold on the San Diego Convention Center. So they're like, all right, we'll just do it. Like, what's a good weekend to do it? Thanksgiving weekend? Let's do it. All right.
I love that. I love that. That's kind of like Sony making the Amazing Spider-Man. We just need to keep the contract.
We just keep the contract. And this is why I said
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that was the summer or like the 2 years of like streaming services where they were all like doing their like opening events and stuff like that. Like I remember freaking DC had their thing where it was just like all virtual. The Batman was there. Fandom, yeah. So I think the past 2 years, like they were like, let's try and do it. And then Comic-Con's like, dude, you can't beat Comic-Con. You can't beat the hype. You can't beat the...
Well, I will say the first year that they did DC Fandom, I was impressed with how it kind of came out. It was pretty well done for what they were trying to do. I didn't think the one after that was as good. But these things are hard to do like virtually, though. I mean, they can try to make it as exciting as they want, but it's not the same as like being there to witness this all in person. Like, I'm pretty sure people are excited and they've missed like camping out from Friday until Hall H starts, so they can actually get into that very, very important room at San Diego Comic-Con. That's where all the big stuff is for the weekend. And I've never personally camped out for Hall H. I want to be able to enjoy the entire convention, and having to be in line for days doesn't sound like fun. Even though you can like meet people online, you can have like you can do line shifts with people that are like, oh, from like 3:30 to 7:30, you hold my place in line, and then I can go do other stuff. But that's just too much work. And I think I'm too old to try to engage in that kind of behavior.
Dude, that's wild to hear you say, because like I've never been. For the people who are listening, they have been. They both have been, because they're actually accredited writers. To actually think, and they're fans too, but they probably have media passes. Yeah. Still, little Jordan shrug from Sam. But seriously, like, I'm just there for I'm a people watcher. Give me the people watching. I'm gonna find out all this news anyways, literally on Twitter 15 minutes after they've done it in Hall H, or like someone just gonna come. I imagine someone comes out of the hall just like, just like, oh my god, what happened? So, yeah, you can count me out of all those 6.5 hour lines, bud. That sounds brutal. That's like a lot of work.
I've never been in a huge line for any Comic-Con, because you get the press. There's a reserve section for press, and it's like, okay, cool.
There you go.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, you feel like a little important when you're walking in. You're like, oh, I want to wait in this line. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it feels good.
There's literally hundreds of people like, I want that guy's job.
Yeah. I have to make sure that nobody knocks me out and takes my badge or something.
It takes it.
It just comes up.
That would be bad, because honestly, because like, I know in years before, I knew a lot of people that would like buy the badges online, and it wouldn't be under their name. It, like, if there was a guy, you just need to buy one with the guy's name, because you have to just scan in and out, and they don't really like check your ID unless you fuck up like scanning in and out, and then like it goes red, and they're like, okay, well, let me see your badge and let me see your ID, and if it doesn't match, they're like, oh, you got to go. So it is easy to just buy a badge, and at least in years before it was. I don't know if it will be now, because I know there's like a lot of COVID protocols too. There's like I heard there's the mask mandate and proof of vaccination and all that stuff too. That's happening, because they said they want to err on the side of caution, because there's going to be so many people there. So it might be a little harder to do that, but it's still going to be cool. Sam can talk about it a bit more than I can. So my editor-in-chief mentioned it 3 weeks ago. He was like, I have 6 extra passes. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I want to go. And he's like, okay, maybe the Friday and Saturday. And I was like, sure. But he hasn't brought it up again since. And I was just wondering, like, should I bring it up? Like, how do I like casually go like, hey?
You have to absolutely bring that up, dude. If he has he has 6 extra passes, which means he has 4 extra passes for other people in his company and 2 for me and you.
Oh, there you go.
And Owen, excuse me, 3. He's got 3. Excuse me.
This is about me.
This is great. Sam's already going. He's got his ticket.
I'm good. I've got.
He's already going to be there. And I honestly do
whiskey flats after.
Yeah, take the Pacificer down, and you'll be set. You know,
perfect. Yeah. That'd be great.
I really do want to go too, because this guy Kenny, who actually met the first year I went to Comic-Con, like, we basically talked every year around the time it was time to go. And the 3 years in a row that I went, we always met up with him and his friends and kind of hung out and did all the press stuff together, and then like kind of partied in Gaslamp. And he like texted me again. He was like, "Hey, are you going? Because we haven't been able to go the last few years. So like, are you going to be there?" And I kind of gave him the same story. I think he reacted via text the way Jack just did, like, just fucking ask him again if you can have a pass. But the
worst thing he can say is no.
Yeah, the worst thing you can say is no. And it's like, in your industry, Comic-Con passes are like, if I was given baseball tickets to, clients at a media agency, it doesn't matter to us. We'll get more.
Yeah.
Yes, there are Comic-Cons a little bit more scarce for the weekend, but like, fuck yeah, just ask him again.
Yeah. I mean,
if Gaius' editor-in-chief is listening, I mean this with all due respect, by the way.
He does listen. He does listen, yeah.
All due respect, man. I respect the hell out of you. But I don't know your name, but I respect you.
His name is Chris.
Chris, I respect you, but I digress.
You know what? When I hop off of this, when we're done recording, I will email him and be like, "Hey, it's a little reminder about that conversation we had." And so,
absolutely.
I think it'll be a yes. Like, I think it'll be yes.
I can't imagine it not being. Yeah.
Well, but for someone who's actually knows for sure he's going for sure is Sam. And what are you excited for for that weekend? Are most excited for?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm getting to do, and I don't necessarily know what I can share.
NDA.
I'm not as a big guy.
NDA.
Marvel Studios has a presentation on Saturday. DC Films or DC's got one that weekend to promote Black Adam
And Shazam.
Yep, Fury Shazam. And probably there might be like some
Aquaman.
Yeah, something for like just some nugget. I'm a big Star Trek guy, and Star Trek Picard season 3, which is the final season of that show, is going to be there, and there's going to be Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. They're all going to have a bunch of stuff.
Oh, nice.
And of course, I have a great, I get along really well with DC Comics, and I've got, I think it's fair to say that I'll have a lot of DC Comics interviews coming out of that weekend. And Riverdale. I'm talking to the cast of Riverdale's last season.
So that would be exciting. Sorry for
Riverdale.
Not so much Riverdale. Oh, I die on that hill. It's not as good as it used to be, but like I'm with it till the end. It's gotten batshit crazy now. Like I'm with it until the end. I almost hate watch it.
Yeah, on the video game front, Gotham Knights is going to be there. So if you like the Batman Arkham games, Gotham Knights.
Finally.
Capcom's got their own booth. If you're a big fan of Resident Evil or Street Fighter, they're going to have a presence there. There's going to be a lot of, though I think the big thing that Capcom's promoting this month is their not Dino Crisis game. There's dinosaurs, but it's not Dino Crisis.
Well, as I've documented on this podcast before, fellas, dinosaurs are dope, so I can't imagine that not doing well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if you like online games where you take on dinosaurs, check out the latest Capcom game, which is so good, and I'm promoting it so well that I don't even know the name of it right now.
Be on the lookout for it.
Yeah. They'll mark the hell out of it. But it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it. For me, it's more of a party than New York Comic Con. New York Comic Con, you're exhausted by the end of that thing because it's so claustrophobic and everybody's crammed in the Javits Center, whereas like the entire Gaslamp District in
turns
San Diego,
into like this huge party. It's a huge party. It's like adult summer camp, pretty much.
Essentially. Ready? You ready? Yeah. It's basically Hero Gasm without the powers.
Without the powers, it is. Yeah, because like when you leave the convention center, you're just right there in the middle of Gaslamp. And like the whole area is like set up for like celebrating this like huge event. And like it's so much fun. I didn't realize how much I missed it until we were just talking about it right now. I like that 3 years in a row that I went for work was so much fun. And
honestly, Gabe, if you end up going down next week, I'm still going for the ride with you down. Like I don't need to go to. I'm just going down. I'm just going to San Diego.
There's a lot of cool stuff to do outside the convention center. I mean, there's still.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying San Diego's awesome and got great golf, so I could easily spend a weekend in San Diego.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. This will be the 5th year I think I've done it, so I'm looking forward to being back.
I didn't get really into the lore of Comic-Con until like BVS came out and like when they did like the huge reveal and everything. It was just like that one little teaser with the logo, but ever since then, like. The lore of Hall H and everything just keeps continuing to grow, and I love it. I don't know why. Like, you could literally just show me like a minute. I will love when you put that on that screen every time. And someone always leaks it. It's the funniest thing in the world. Like, what?
Yeah, it's always like the strict like make sure your phones are you can't record anything. Like people are walking around like looking to see if you're like doing anything on your phone, but still somehow, yeah, you're right. Stuff somehow leaks from the weekend.
The first year I did Comic-Con, I was there. I was in the convention center before the show floor opens that Wednesday or whatever, and I was like preview night. Yeah, and it was the year that The Force Awakens came out, so. They hadn't really released a lot of stuff for The Force Awakens back in 2015. And I was on my phone texting as I was walking by the Lucasfilm booth, and I stopped and looked over at the Lucasfilm booth, and like literally all of them were staring at me to make sure I didn't like point my phone towards them.
I really thought the next sentence that was going to come out of your mouth is that either you got tackled or they slapped your phone.
Well, they after I walked out of eyesight, an announcement went over the intercom reminding everyone on the show floor to refrain from refrain from any photography or video. And I was like, oh, they're talking about me. like, oh. So yeah, security.
They're like, get him.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say about Comic-Con is that for certain things that are presented there's this like false sense of like everyone is so hyped for it. Because I remember when Terminator Dark Fate had a panel there, that room was like lit up. They were like excited for it, and I was like, this movie's gonna be a hit. And then when it came out, like no one saw it and it flopped. So there's like this false sense of like, everyone in that room just loves everything that they're seeing because they're seeing it for the first time. But by the time some of these things, by the time some of these things come out, you're like, the hype has died down a little bit.
Oh yeah. I remember getting super excited because like Linda Hamilton was back. I was like, awesome. Yeah. And then I saw the movie and I was like, okay. Like,
no, not so much. Yeah. That's pretty much how I felt. That's how I felt after I watched it. So what do you think they're gonna like? They're keeping the Marvel one really under wraps. So what do you think they're gonna reveal there? Are they gonna? Do you think they're gonna talk about their phase 4?
Before they go to Marvel, because I feel like there's a longer discussion. Just the DC thing. I actually think that the Fury of Gods, I'm more excited for it now because of that actual teaser. Like, haha, we're teasing. So very good on that part. And then I'm interested to see what more they could show with Black Adam without like giving it all away. Yeah, because they've literally done it like 4 times already. So those are my only 2 comments. I'm super excited for both of them. Like they definitely put a lot more money into production for Shazam. It looks a lot better, just like it looks better. So super excited about that. But yeah, let's go back into Marvel because I got some theories and I really would love to hear it. Yours.
Well, yeah, the big thing you have to keep in mind with Marvel is this is also a D23 year. And Marvel usually reveal more of their stuff. Yeah, so we'll probably get maybe a Black Panther 2 trailer and maybe like an update on like Fantastic Four, like since they need a new director, or maybe they'll announce the return of the long rumored return of the Russo brothers to helm something like Secret Wars, X-Men. But
they don't think they'll do X-Men.
Yeah. No, I think they'll do Secret Wars before and then use that as a springboard to bring in the X-Men. But I mean, and I say that with no like definite like this is what they're doing, but that's just my general feeling. I also think that they'll probably, and this is again just a theory, that they'll probably introduce the Fantastic Four through Ant-Man 3, so which would line up with them.
I just saw something about Ant-Man online. The villain is someone's being introduced. Fuck, where's my phone?
Kang the Conqueror?
No, not that's right. Yeah, no. Is it Kang that?
Yeah, he's in the.
That was what they announced.
New one, right?
I'll find my phone.
Loki.
Yeah, he's like a second tier villain or something in Quantum Mania or something, if I recall correctly.
One of the rumors going around was that Corey Stoll's coming back as Yellow Jacket.
Okay.
All we saw was him getting thrown in Quantum Realm. So maybe, I mean, again.
So you don't. Well, they're probably not going to talk about more about what their Phase 4 plan is, right? Like what the ultimate, like the bigger picture of it. You think they'll save that for like the D23 if they do?
I think D23 is where they'll.
I know Kevin Feige did say that like we would know like in the coming months like what the end game is for Phase 4. I know a lot of people are frustrated that after all the movies that we've had in TV shows that it still doesn't seem like there is one yet.
Probably,
but yeah, I could see curious.
That. Yeah, and I could see him saving all the trailers that aren't Black Panther 2 or She-Hulk, because that'll probably be San Diego, and then all the other trailers, because Guardians 3 is done filming. Ant-Man 3 is filming. How many like TV shows like Ironheart has just started filming? That's probably all going to get unveiled at D23.
Right. Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we could talk a little bit more about the whole current state of Phase 4 when we are finished talking about Thor: Love and Thunder, because I went on like Twitter and like It's a bunch of mixed frustrated fans who are like, why don't we still know anything about what's going on after all these movies and shows, mixed in with like everyone's mixed reaction to the movie. There's like a lot of frustrated like people online over the weekend and even today. But is there anything else that you wanted to talk about when it comes to Comic-Con, or
what the heck? I just
need to lie and say I just need to figure out how I'm going. I'm just like, can I just cover Black Adam? Because Dwayne Johnson invited me to that thing that one time. Can I go to Comic-Con too?
There's Dragon Ball Super movies premiering, so you get that.
Oh, there we go.
So
I'll just be excited. It'll just be exciting to like have it happen, even if I don't get to go. Just the news that'll come out of it. What's up?
Oh, dude.
Well, it looks like we got a. I'm trying to find that post about Ant-Man, but I found the leaked photos of Namor for Black Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You guys see this? Yeah.
Yep.
How do you feel about this, Sam?
How do I feel about Namor the Submariner?
Yeah,
and his look
in this one.
Well, it matches because they're like, the rumor is that he's kind of more of a Mesoamerican kind of take on the character as opposed to like they're trying to move away from the Atlantean aspect, especially when you've got Aquaman like so prominently in the movies right now. So it's like, okay, so let's make him more of like this Mesoamerican kind of like, Aztec, Mayan, Olmec influenced superhero. When's the last time who should Black Panther go up against? Well, let's go king against king. And they did square up in Avengers versus X-Men in 2012. So there's a history of animosity there. It's interesting. I think I remember like 10 years ago or 15 years ago hearing that Dwayne Johnson was also linked to that part, because you look at comic book Namor and you look at like WWE Rock and not current Rock, where he's like almost too jacked.
Yeah.
Like WWE Rock, he was like, oh, I can see that dude is Namor, slicks his hair back and like just runs around in a Speedo. Totally.
Yeah.
And then he went Black Adam instead, which we're finally seeing 15 years later. So I think, Namor is an interesting character. He's been around as long as Captain America. He was on a team with Captain America before Captain America joined the Avengers. I assume it's going to be, I don't think he's gonna be more of an anti-hero than an out and out villain, I would hope. Because he's one of it would be like turning the Scarlet Witch into a remorseless villain that wipes out entire superheroes on the big screen.
Something like that.
Wait, what are you referring to? Are you referring to anything specific, or is that just
nothing comes to mind?
Wait. Oh, right. Yeah, right. She totally killed off an entire superhero group.
Yeah,
totally.
That did happen. But then she realized the error of her ways and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll fix it."
I'm gonna drop the mountain on myself, and it'll all be better. I actually like Doctor Strange. I did too.
I liked it a lot. Yeah, it's good. I like watching it at night for sure.
Yeah, I like it because it feels like a Sam Raimi movie, and that's really the saving grace.
That's what I like about it the most, more than anything. That they let him do what he really wanted to do, like as opposed to like, not saying that like he didn't have. I mean, when he did Spider-Man, that's not so much like Sam Raimi, but you can tell like there's some Evil Dead influences in Doctor Strange too, and like I'm glad that they allowed him to go full Raimi with no interruptions.
Do you think? As an interesting seg,
yes.
Do you think Taika Waititi went maximum?
Good job.
Ragnarok
Good job. Good job.
Okay. So, Thor: Love and Thunder came out over the weekend, and I just want to say this. What's up?
Here we go. Now we're good.
Oh, okay.
I just like doing that from now on.
Whenever we get to our main topic of the episode, I like to do the Little Wayne, Little Wayne lighter flick. It's great.
That's the signal.
We're setting it off.
So Sam can attest to this too. I think like when early like social media word comes out for a movie, and like a lot of times, especially for movies like this, it's always like overwhelmingly positive. Because like people have gone to the premiere and they're like they've just seen it, and like that's what happened with Thor: Love and Thunder, where it was like, oh, like this sounds like it's going to be really, really good. And then the review embargo got lifted, and the reviews were hitting Rotten Tomatoes, and it was like in the 80s percent range, and it kept dropping and dropping. And I was like, why is it dropping based on that really good early word from everything I saw online? And I think it finally settled at like 68% the last time I looked, which is much lower than the 90, I think 93% that Ragnarok got. But that notwithstanding, I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe they didn't quite get it, and that's fine. I will say this: the movie made money over the weekend. It's like $144.2 million, and on the plus side, like we have to like congratulate these movies in this kind of like post-pandemic like world that we're living in when it comes to box office that are opening over $100 million. I mean, we've had a few movies do that so far this year, so that's a win. I guess where people are starting to pick it apart is that it was projected to gross like 160. It came in lower than that. And actually, Jurassic World Dominion opened like slightly higher than Thor: Love and Thunder, and some people are like picking out as to why it got a B+ cinema score, which is not really what Marvel typically gets. They're usually in the A range. Eternals last year got a B, and actually Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness got a B+ as well. You could just tell that the word is kind of a little bit more polarizing this time around for this particular movie compared to Ragnarok. I have my own personal feelings about it, but I like to let the guests go first. So I'm just gonna go to Sam with like, what were your just overall thoughts on the movie, like as a whole?
Overall, there are things about it that I like. It's good seeing Natalie Portman back in the Thor world. It's good seeing Christian Bale on the big screen at all times. If anybody who likes Guns N' Roses is going to be incredibly excited about this movie. Overall, I think I would actually say it's like maybe like the debate I've been having for the past week or so is like, what's weaker, Thor: Love and Thunder or Thor: The Dark World? Both movies are watchable. Both movies have enjoyable moments, but they're not like maximum top shelf MCU. But yeah, I mean, does it deserve all the hate it's getting online? Does any movie like deserve all the hate that they get online?
Right.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's like a solid like C+ if I was grading it on a typical like grading scale.
Oh, so that's interesting when you get to me because like my grade changed to something similar. But I'll go to Jack first and see what his overall thoughts were.
So as you guys know, like I've always said, like I like Thor, the more serious version. So I'm obviously going against the grain with this one, saying that I actually enjoyed Love and Thunder more than Ragnarok because like the jump from Thor, Dark World, Avengers to Ragnarok was just too jarring for me. Like if this was before and then Ragnarok, I thought that would have been like the style, not the movies, obviously, because the stories wouldn't make sense. But it would have been a lot better that way. Let's keep going. But like they tried to, but then they didn't because they brought back Natalie Portman. So there's a love story and there's actual heart and feel to this movie. Where in Thor Ragnarok, I'm not gonna say there wasn't heart and feel because it's Taika, whatever his name is, but like. It's just what it didn't like. That movie was fun. It was super fun. Like there's no really weight holding to it. Yes, like they lost their home, but like they got a new one immediately and saved everybody. So I think this movie actually was like, more serious. So I liked it more, and I actually thought like the running jokes of like Stormbreaker and Mjolnir was hilarious. It was just like the ex-girlfriend coming in, just like, oh hey babe, what's up? What's up? And I thought it was very funny. I thought like the goats I thought I was gonna hate the goats. Goats were fucking hilarious. And the fact that, and this is actually like one point of like I like the connected universe, is that Taika Waititi, nope. He only put those goats in because he knows that James Gunn is using Thor in the Christmas special with the Guardians, and he has to now use the goats for some reason. I love it. I don't know why. I love that. So I thought it was really good. I mean, I won't give it an A. I do have some stylistic issues with gore, because I read that they shied away from his comic book iteration because he thought he would look a little like people thought he would get confused with Voldemort. Which one I think is just preposterous to think because when was the last time a Harry Potter movie came out?
Not counting Fantastic Beasts, it would be like 20.
Yeah, like a real Harry Potter movie, like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't think anyone's gonna go Voldemort like the whole entire time. So thought that, and then sometimes he got a little too like not creepy, but like smiley, giggly. You know what I'm saying? Like menacingly giggly. I thought that was a little off-brand for his character. I thought he'd be a little bit more sinister, but he was still like, as Sam said, like anytime you see Christian C. Bale on the screen, it's a good time. Other than that, I just thought that sometimes he looked like an actual just monk walking around barefoot. Thought it was hilarious. But like other than that, like good overall. Jane Foster also like dope too, and they followed the comic books and that she actually passes away in the end, so it's like really good. The last thing I'll say is that, of course, Marvel has to make like the best villain they've had in the past like 6 movies redeemable at the end. Like you couldn't just let him die a villain; you had to let him like sacrifice him for the love of his daughter. And then Thor is now like a stepdad, which I think is just very funny. Like I'll take
with Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter.
Wait, hold on. So that's because I saw a clip and the director was like, "I'm just going to the director now."
The director, Taika.
Taika was just like, "Yeah, mate, we used all our kids. We used Christian's kids. We used our kids. We used Chris's kids. It's great. It's free labor. They don't know. It's fine." So the whole entire time, I was like confused. I was like, "All right, where are these kids?" Because like so Christian Bale's daughter in the movie is Chris Hemsworth's daughter in real life. Okay, so I thought it would have been Christian Bale's child would have been his child in the movie, but
I think Christian Bale's kids are like significantly older at this point.
Older
because he had kids while he was doing the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they were probably just like random extras or something, but like they had screen time at least. But so overall, I probably give it. I don't want to give it a C because I liked it, so I'm going to give it a B-.
Cool. All right. Well, when I initially wrote about it, I gave it a B. But then I started to think about it more throughout the weekend and kind of landed where Sam is on like the C+ level of it. It's funny because Jack did mention that like he's mentioned before that he kind of liked the more serious like Thor approach that we kind of like got back with the first 2 movies. And I was all like, I loved what they did with Ragnarok and like I wanted more of that. But the problem I think I have is that I think he went too far with trying to make it comical to the point where like, and I didn't really get this feeling until I saw someone online say that it really did almost feel like a parody of itself. And at certain moments, it was hard to take it like seriously. And there were so many like tonal shifts that like 1 minute you would kind of be invested emotionally in what was going on with like Jane and Thor, and then it'd be capped with like a joke. And sometimes those jokes would not land. I think the jokes landed far better in Ragnarok than they did in this movie. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I think that they tried way too hard to be funny. And it just felt more forced and it didn't feel as organic this time. And I love Christian Bale in it. I thought he was good. I wanted more of him in it. I wish we could have actually seen him like, actually butcher some more gods other than just the opening scene, instead of just having him like kidnap children for bait. And that was like basically what it was. And I love Natalie Portman in it. Like we talked about this before. I'm glad that she actually had a purpose and something to do. And also Tessa Thompson I thought was solid too as Valkyrie. She's been solid the entire time, but I thought she was really good as well. I think I was more frustrated after the weekend learning that he cut a lot of stuff. Like like Natalie Portman said there's a lot of stuff that ended up on the cutting room floor, and then he kind of said it too. He said we're never going to see that stuff because he doesn't really believe in director's cuts. And you could kind of tell after hearing that they did kind of cut the fuck out of the movie. Like it feels like it could have been like, I know people complain about long movies, but I would have appreciated it being a little longer. So it would have felt like a little tighter in spots.
Yeah, because it is jarring in terms of like you were saying with the tone, right? It's like Superman 3.
Yeah, so going back to Instagram posts, I'm reading another one, and
then the story was sacrificed for jokes.
if you can hear that, Chris in it, I can't tell if he's joking or not, but he literally just goes, "The story was sacrificed for jokes." And while Taika's like talking, he's like, and I can't tell because they cut it off before Taika could probably like process what he just heard, so he probably didn't go like that. But I think it definitely was Chris's at the tail end of his junket and was just like, this movie was supposed to be funny. We took the story out of it.
Yeah.
Taika.
I mean, that's the problem for me. A lot of the jokes don't land versus
They tried so hard. Like some of them were funny, but like a lot of it just didn't like. I was like, oh, that's not good, and that's not good.
See,
but
for
they're
like
like
Marvel,
throwing so many, you know.
Yeah, but for me personally, like I'm always going to be on DC side, but like I respect Marvel movies, but their recipe has always been, regardless of what the situation is, there is going to be something like try and lighthearted to, a whoopee cushion, per se, to like get a laugh to like ease the tension. So to me, that was just like, all right, whatever. But to like, I thought like the outwardly like laugh at this, I thought those were funny. Like if you didn't laugh every time that the Stormbreaker like walked into the room, like, or at least giggled, like, come on, like that was funny.
For me, like, I think
that was funny.
The thing
exactly. So like the big ones that I'm like, those landed. Then the little ones, yeah, definitely like no, but like the big ones definitely landed for me.
I think for me, in terms of like where the movie goes wrong, I can encapsulate in a single frame of the entire movie. It's when it's the opening fight when Thor does the splits to stop the two fights.
Yeah.
That was a joke that didn't like do it. I mean, it's very much like over the top like 80s action movie, right? Which I guess which is totally what they're going for, but it didn't connect. I didn't find it effective.
No, that opening monologue didn't really do it for me either.
Yeah.
Like if you had a badass fight scene instead of the monologue, I think it would have landed better. And you could have had the splits still.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
I think the problem with the splits is there's so much invested leading up to that payoff, and it doesn't pay off.
You're right, dude. Guys, we didn't even talk about this in person, but like the Guardian, like I thought the Guardians are gonna be a part of it. Like the only reason they're there is for an emotional speech at the beginning in the first like 10 minutes, and after that it's like, see you later. Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, they really much had to have them there because that was the last we saw of Thor was with them, right? And like, I thought they were going to be in it a bit more, and they were only in like the first 15 minutes of the movie, and not even the full 15, I guess. So like, I was expecting more of them too. I also was struggling with how to say this really because I think Chris Hemsworth is very funny, and like I think they really discovered he is a really good, solid comedic actor, especially with Ragnarok. And like, I honestly like the Ghostbusters, the female one from that everyone seems to hate. I actually thought he was funny in that too. He has like a really good sense of comedic timing, but I felt like in this movie they made the character like really stupid, and it was hard to like. I mean, it was just hard to like really like engage with him like as a hero. Like it was almost like he was like a caricature now. It's not like. I don't know if you kind of see what I'm trying to say, but it just didn't work.
What I was saying about the last movie.
And it's so weird. It's so weird to see, like, to come back to that now because I was like, no, man, Ragnarok's great. This is what we need. This is what we needed. But now I'm like, no, maybe dial it back because he needs to like. It just comes off like goofy, and it's not even like goofy funny all the time. It's just like this guy is stupid, and and that's that was.
Well, like legitimately, like I found Hemsworth to be one of the funnier things in Ragnarok. Like he's got like there's that one joke, and a lot of it's because it's like offhand humor. It's not like you don't see the punchline. Like there's that one moment where like he's talking to Tessa Thompson, and she's like he's wearing like the shawl, and she's like, I can see your face, and he's like, well, not when I do this. Like that's a funny line. My problem, I think, with Thor in this movie is they kind of gave him the same character arc as Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. Like every appearance of Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, he gets progressively goofier. every appearance. Like, remember, like when he was Ed Norton, or remember, like Age of Ultron, where
bro,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
you
Age of
compare.
Ultron, he's threatening to strangle. He threatens to strangle the Scarlet Witch to her face.
Face,
You know?
That's true.
And then, like, by like Ragnarok and all these other movies, he's just like this, like the ultimate goofball, and it's just like, okay. And then like Thor as kind of like Thor buries over the course of his movie, and they say as much. He buries both of his parents. He loses his kingdom. He loses his brother presumably 3 times, and he's like he goes from so much pathos in like Dark World, like that funeral scene, to where we find him, and like you can have him be funny and still have him feel all that. Like Infinity War, one of my favorite scenes in Infinity War is where he's talking to Rocket about how much he's lost, and he's just like, this is all I got left. This is I'm just, that's a great scene without compromising the more comedic directions they had just taken him with in Ragnarok. And then they go goofy with Thor in Endgame when he becomes like Lebowski Thor.
Basically.
No, yeah, he gets like so shafted. Like if they just kept Thor, the version of him when he's talking to Captain Marvel and he's like, I like this one. Like that's totally fine. Like he could have been like a brooding drunk, like living in like his castle in New Ragnarok or in New whatever I'm thinking, Asgard. Thank you, New Asgard, and it's just like that totally makes sense too. That would make him like creepy, scared. Like you could still have Korg and Meek playing video games, but it's like, oh yeah, mate, like don't go upstairs, man. Like we only like bring food up there. We don't know what he does. Like that's way better than him like being a fat fucking slob.
Yeah, drinking berries in the Avengers headquarters and eating Haagen-Dazs, and it's like, you guys don't have to. You don't have to rely on alcoholism and fat jokes to make him like that guy. Like you can
that's true.
Things.
I mean, I will say that Bloody Mary line was absolutely hilarious. Absolutely. It's like, babe, no, I'd like a Bloody Mary, please. And it's like, you know what? I felt that line. I know what we're talking about here, but it's the morning. That's some shit going on. I thought those, like when he does that, another example, like it's not planned, but he does him doing the eye drops, being like, oh, okay, all right, that's funny, and that's like you can keep that going, but to have it like the other way, it's just like, all right, man, like this guy's supposed to be like a fucking Greek god, badass. Yeah. Oh, and that leads me into Zeus. Like what?
I was waiting for it. I laughed. I thought it was funny. I just I didn't know what to. I was still confused, but I laughed. I mean, I was entertained by what Russell Crowe was doing. It looked like he had a lot of fun doing it. So there's that. But I don't know if it worked.
Like
Jack shaking his so I don't think it worked for him.
Dude, when he pulled the fucking skirt to the side, like I was literally like, "Yo, how can?" And I'm bringing it back to my daddy Snyder. It's like, how can you hate on anything where you like in Zeus, and that one was a badass bodybuilder who shot lightning bolts out of his hands. Zeus is talking about orgies and is in a skirt dancing around. And like that was just so bad. Like I can't like I don't know, because post-credit scene they have him like actually like kind of like angry, and then Hercules comes along, so like he's gonna be in more because Hercules is definitely planned to come in. So yeah, he better have a mean streak, because that was unwatchable.
Yeah, I swear,
it was funny.
I swear, I think the orgy line made me like laugh like I was like a 13-year-old. Like I shouldn't have laughed at it. It's not like it's necessarily funny. It was just like the delivery of it made me laugh, and they did it twice. Maybe I just laughed more out of confusion, because like I kind of was with Jack. I was like, I don't know what direction they're taking with this, but yeah, it's funny, and like it's not like he was bad. Like Russell Crowe did the work. He was committed. But I was just like, I don't know if I necessarily like buy into it or get it. Yeah, it was really bizarre.
Yeah, and also I do feel bad for Chris Hemsworth, because he probably worked out for Jillian. I mean, he works out for jillions of hours at a time, anyways. But he specifically worked out just for a scene where he gets foofed away, like
to show his butt.
that's like to show his butt and back. I feel really bad. Like that's what Thor is, a funny guy who's also hot, but like
that's what they've dumbed him down to, I think.
I know, and that's what frustrates me so much, because yes, you can make the joke that like in Dark World or even Thor, like he was, but like, dude, do you guys remember Thor, just regular old Thor in Thor 1, where he's just like got the mid-cut length hair, he's fucking just looking like a goddamn Australian cowboy, like that, like he was like, I liked when he was confused about the world, but like he was just like, I'm still for Asgard.
It's so
like, I like that, and he's gone.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that is what a lot of the stuff that works in Thor 1 is like Chris Hemsworth's just a naturally charming dude. So like there's scenes where he's walking around Asgard just flipping Mjolnir and just like smiling, and he's still like the jock. Like Thor is the jock of the Avengers.
100%.
But he's not like the buffoon of the Avengers, right?
So like in Thor 1, he like, you have to do you guys remember what he looked like in Thor 1? He was like that was Thor. Like if you're like take him out of the comics, that's Thor. Yes, obviously they have to have a character arc throughout the movies that is conducive with the story that's being told throughout all of the Marvel, but to make him just like a big joke now, like just a big buff joke and a stupid jock, not like a respectable, like you know, he drinks a lot of beer sometimes, but like when push comes to shove, like he's the man, like he's like that, not like, Cole, can you stop like writing? It's really hard to do like all the little stuff. I don't know. I just that was a better Thor depiction, and it's kind of sad to see what it comes to now, because he's gone up and down like with his like everything, you know, like in the Avengers movie in Infinity War, fantastic.
Yeah,
this one, Infinity War, as we said, Endgame, as we said, you know, embarrassingly unfortunate. And then, you know, now we've been talking. It's just like, how can you redeem him to make him at least a little bit more on the dark side?
For me, my favorite balance of Thor so far, of Hemsworth's Thor, is probably Infinity War. That's where it gets it the best.
I agree. I definitely
think so too.
agree.
That seemed to be like the sweet spot where like there was enough humor, but there was also, they were still taking the character seriously, and it hasn't become a joke. I will say I was surprised by in this movie that I was able to connect with him and Jane Foster as a couple, because I never really cared that much in the first movie or the second one. So they had to do a lot in this to make me care, like, oh, like this is where their arc is going. And I actually did enjoy like the scenes that they had them shoot of their, like, where basically when they were dating, like that whole like montage of them, like their relationship, I thought was pretty cool to see. They had like surprisingly like really solid chemistry, I thought, even though I've never really like was into it in the first two movies. I thought they did a good job of like, if they're gonna bring her back, and like I fell on that side of things where like that character never quite worked for me in those first two movies, but she did here, and I thought they managed to kind of really utilize her in a really good way, finally. And it was actually nice. It was nice to see like their connection, and also I also like that they still kept her kind of like, I mean, because she's a bit of a nerd, right? So even as a superhero, she was still like a nerd. Like when she was trying to come up with like what her catchphrase should be and all that stuff, I thought that was pretty funny and cute. And like, I don't know, I thought she did a really good job overall. I don't know if you guys thought of her or in their relationship in the movie.
Yeah, I like their relationship, and I do think they had pretty good chemistry in those first two movies. I mean, you can, like, Natalie Portman, it almost feels like it's as natural as, because if I was around Chris Hemsworth and that dude was like jacked as hell and topless, I'd be smiling ear to ear all the time.
I would be too. Hand up, I would be too.
Here's a crazy thing. Did you know him and I are born, not the same year, but do you know him and I are born the same day?
Oh, there you go. That's a good claim to fame.
If I ever got talk to him at a junket, that's what I would lead off with, and that would probably be it.
That's fantastic.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
That's
for
dope.
sure. I agree.
I once you said it, Gase, about like how the first two movies you didn't like it. As I've said before, I actually like in the first two movies she's just the girlfriend, like nothing more, nothing less. She's a little bit of a plot point. Therefore, we shouldn't care about her that much. Tell me another girlfriend in the MCU that you care about that actually, besides, I mean, Pepper Potts is very important to Tony. Like everyone gets that. She's always in it. So like we always cared about her. Like if there's no Tony without Pepper in that. Another example would be, so that's like the opposite of what I'm saying, but like the rest of the girlfriends, they didn't matter in the first. They didn't never matter. Now she matters. She has a plot point that we're actually interested in, other than being the girlfriend. She's great. So like I think it just kind of continues more, and again, she like it kind of sent her off like, you did your part with the MCU. Thank you for your service. You've done right. They did her better than Scarlett Johansson. They did her better than Scarlett Johansson.
They gave her. I mean, yeah, she gets a heroic send off, and like Jane Foster was the big loose end that was in the MCU Thor's world, and this is, I think, in terms of things that ties off, I think it resolves that plot thread. You know, it is one of the stronger elements of the movie.
And it's wild to think that if you just kept Jane, like imagine if you kept Jane Foster around the Avengers complex during Infinity War and Endgame, or like if like she got blipped, how better his character would be, because of the fact that one, he's fighting for Asgard, you know, the whole entire nine. He feels he failed the, you know, whatever. Plus Jane Foster, then we care, because now you literally have a Nobel Prize astrophysicist on the team, and they had never called her.
That's true. There's a lot of loose ends when it comes to like the Avengers and all that stuff. Where in the standalone movies, where they're like, well, why don't they just like call the rest of them up? And they're like, no, they're busy.
I get that. But like in the big pile up of all characters, it's like we're just not going to put in one of the better actors we've actually cast as a character in our show, Natalie Portman. We're just not going to call her. Like,
well, I've never known this for sure. We've like speculated, right, about why she didn't do more after Thor: The Dark World, and like I always felt like she was like, I don't want to just play the girlfriend, but that was always an assumption I had. I don't really know for sure why she never really seemed like she wanted to come back until they presented her with this. That was just my assumption, though.
So she, like, Natalie Portman personally recommended Patty Jenkins to direct The Dark World.
Oh,
and Patty Jenkins, basically her pitch for Dark World got rejected or heavily rewritten or whatever. And so she left and then went off and did great things with Wonder Woman.
First time around.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. The first time around.
And I think Natalie Portman, I mean, she went to bat for Patty, and so she was like, "Look, I'm contractually obligated to be in 2, but I think I'm good after this." And I think Taika Waititi basically reached out and was like, "Hey, I'm not, you know." Like, this is a different kind of thing. This is a different direction we're taking this. We would love to have you back. I've written a nice, juicy part for you. And I think, it was just one of those things where it was like enough time had passed, enough water had passed under the bridge, where she was like, fine, let's do this.
I'll do it.
No, yeah, but like you can equate it to like just Rachel McAdams in Doctor Strange. Like, I don't care about her. Like, but if she had like a bigger plot point, like that'd be dope. But like,
no,
I can't. It's actually funny. I cared more about the Rachel McAdams in the
alternate verse,
in the alternate universe more than I cared about the one we watched for like 2 movies. So, like that just kind of like puts to it. Like, you have, like, if they're gonna write a female in, like, not like give her something to do. Actually, you know, other than that, like get an actress who actually is okay with being the girlfriend. Like, just sit her down and be like, listen, you're hot, you're good at acting, and we want you to have good chemistry with this guy because he needs it. Other than that, if you want to do something else, babe, we're Disney. We'll give you something else if you just do this. I don't understand how, like, they're not, like, leveraging, like, okay, fine, put me in another movie where I get to do what I want, and I'll do this.
Yeah. That's how they
feel
kind
like,
of.
yeah.
Well,
Lure
that's
them
how they
in.
settled the lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson, right? They were like, "Yeah, we will produce whatever your next project is." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, fine."
All right, cool,
She's
sweet.
like fine.
Yeah.
She's like,
Totally.
and she's like,
And
you
give
know,
me some streaming dollars. But yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
like
with
Kevin Feige said that she's involved with like producing like some future Marvel projects too. So like Scarlett Johansson is in a sweet spot now compared to like, you know, when things looked like they were going awry last year.
last year, yeah, it was just last year.
Yeah,
Dog
that's
years.
crazy that was just last year.
Yeah,
no, yeah,
That was
yeah.
a-
Think about it, and you got to think about it too. It's like we don't know when Thor's coming back again, and then there's Iron Man's gone. Spider-Man is not. We're not seeing him for a fucking probably another 5 years. So like, what do you do with like these characters now? Like, it's so hard to like think.
I
It's so
think we'll
weird.
see Spider-Man again within the next 2 to 3 years
Was
because
Spider-Man?
I think
Or Thor.
Spider-Man.
well, both, frankly. But I think with Spider-Man, I mean, that movie just made a mint, and so I think Sony and Marvel Studios were just like kind of looked at each other, saw the piles of money that they had gotten, were like, yeah, we can keep doing this. We can keep doing
Fair
this.
enough. I'm not gonna say
Now,
yeah.
the question is, does Marvel Studios like what Sony's doing with their ancillary Spider-Man properties?
Oh no,
They
not at
don't,
all.
but yeah.
But guess what, bitch? Who owns the motherfucking rights to them? Suck it.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like, well,
yeah.
we can. You can have Michael Keaton in your world if we get to keep Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
We'll offer up Michael Keaton's Vulture as a sacrificial lamb for a post-credit scene.
And they definitely did that because he's going back to Batman.
Oh yeah.
you wanna play that game, boy?
They also need to give Tom Holland the sweet Robert Downey Jr. like deal if you to come back for like a handful of
Oh my
movies.
god. Robert Downey Jr. made what, like $15 million for his appearance in Homecoming, which is like
10
not-
minutes.
Yeah.
It was 20 minutes. It was 20 million for 15 minutes. Unreal.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It was just
Yeah.
like,
Unreal. I think the first movie he made like 500 grand. The next movie he made like 60 mil.
Yeah,
he
the
made-
funny thing about Iron Man is that he got paid less than Terrence Howard for that first Iron Man movie because like he was like not who he is. You know, he was coming out of like, can we really trust him again? Can he really be in big movies again?
I had to insure him and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And what a reversal. Then Terrence Howard was like, I want more money for the sequel, and they were like, peace. Let's call Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle was like, sure, I'll do it. Whatever.
Don Cheadle's ahead of his time when he's like he before like actors blindly signed up for something with Marvel. He was like, sure. Now, yeah, it's like I'll sign whatever you want. Give me the money.
Yeah.
Marvel,
But yeah,
man.
I don't know. Like, we talked about like the Phase 4 stuff, and like even after this movie, I just don't know like what. I mean, I'm trying to be patient and like just give them and trust their creative direction and like all right, what are they doing? What are they setting up? But someone posted today. I guess they were like, it's weird that we're in this phase where it's like 6 movies and 7 shows, and I feel like I don't know what's the overall like end game for this phase.
And I think that's the show's fault. Like their strategy of the shows, because the shows are so condensed to like a week or a month,
Right.
you know, like and then afterwards they'll be like, oh well, that character's coming back for, you know, it's like, all right, dude, like we know that U.S. agent, and you know they'll be like, either like have it ready to go as soon as like the third character from like this team up for like the Dark Avengers or whatever you want to call is ready to like tee it up a little bit more. I get that. We all get it. I mean, actually, no, none of us get it because none of us have produced or made a show. So
Yeah.
we don't know. But it's fucking Disney with an unlimited amount of money. Well, like I wouldn't say pick up the pace. That sounds greedy. But like, do you get what I'm saying? It's like I don't know what's going on, or like I don't have interest because like I watch this show for 35 minutes every week for 6 weeks, and then it's gone. And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to go back and watch it because I'm then like, if I have to watch them, I have to watch all the episodes.
I do think Comic-Con and D23 is going to overturn, especially D23 is going to overturn a lot of those cards.
I would hope so, and that's why, because you know, past 2 years, no one in person. They're not going to waste the money on it if they're not going to get the ROI in the theater. So Totally understand that. But at the same time, it's like you just added Hercules. We are not seeing Hercules probably we'll probably get a director for Hercules for another 2 years.
Yeah, I can see that being.
Yeah.
So that's what's very annoying to me about like Phase 4. It's like either tell us that Phase 4 is finally like the last phase, so you can reset it for a new generation, or like just give us the fucking plan. Like when's Blade coming into play and Jon Snow's character? Like not Jon.
people still care about what Kit Harington and the Eternals are doing.
But Kit Harington is the door to Blade through the fucking black sword.
Yeah.
So like, when's that coming? That movie came out like a year and a half ago, 2 years. When's it coming?
They are supposed there are delays with the start of Blade. They do have a crew in place.
Okay, cool.
That is supposed to start filming before the end of the year, which is faster. So you'll see Blade before you'll see Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four hasn't announced a director.
Yeah,
see Blade? We'll see Blade before Deadpool too, like another Deadpool movie, right?
I think
they're
they're
writers and stuff.
They're scripting Deadpool 3. Sean Levy is tapped to direct.
Direct it, yeah.
So we'll get Deadpool 3 eventually, but like you were saying, we'll probably see Blade before we'll see Deadpool. And at least a solo movie again.
And I'm gonna play the card here, but they definitely need some more color in it, and they definitely they have Black Panther, that's gonna make $1 jillion. They need another person, a POC, to like kind of start headlining their next thing. So they really need to turn that shit out, because that's gonna be.
We've got Anthony Mackie as Captain America.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry, completely forgot. Oh yeah, and they just got a new director for him, right?
Yep. So that being said, if they just signed a director, that means they're not filming for months.
Yeah.
So, but I really do think within the next month, because D23 is like mid to late August. That's when like the roadmap, at least a substantial part of it, will be revealed.
Yeah.
Remember how excited everybody was when they unveiled the roadmap in 2019, and it was like Moon Knight, all the Disney shows. And then like here we are, like 2 years after that, or almost 3 years after that, and we're like,
Dude, like Moon Knight is a perfect example of like why.
Why?
So cut off from everything else. Sure.
Like I get, like you could have done like what they're doing with like Echo and Daredevil. Like you could like do that with Moon Knight. Like I get it. You want actually kind of negs my point I just made, because they needed a POC, to represent like the Middle East and have like a Middle Eastern superhero. But it's like they just came out and said it. There's nothing more for him. Like if maybe like why? So I just think they're definitely waiting time. But COVID definitely did obviously a number on our hopes and dreams for speedy productions.
I think Moon Knight was something that they had on the docket for a long time as a movie, and then as development hell continued, they're like, well, this probably doesn't have a lot of box office viability, but if Disney's offering us like stupid budgets to produce original content for Disney Plus, we'll just put it over there. Same thing with Hawkeye.
Look at this.
Yeah, Hawkeye, they had originally signed Jeremy Renner to star in his own Hawkeye solo movie, and so they had to renegotiate his contract to make it a miniseries. Yeah. That was kind of one of those things where it's like, this is more of a guaranteed hit and certainly less of a risk for us if we just pivot to television.
Yeah, makes sense. And that was...
they're not dumb.
I kind of wonder how a Hawkeye movie would have done in theaters. I know he's not the most like beloved Avenger. I'm always like justice for Hawkeye, because I actually like Jeremy Renner and think he's like good in the role, but like he's always... What was that?
Do you have his app?
Oh, no, I don't.
He's got an app, yeah. It's very funny.
I need to get it then. Shit.
He's got a website and everything too, man. It's funny.
I think it's delisted, but you can still witness the glory that was the Jeremy Renner app. If you just search for it on like Google or Twitter, you can see some of the highlights.
Nice.
Just like him in his
I need to
daily
check-
life. His own Twitter.
Check that out.
But I mean, I'm not to say like I'm not excited for Phase 4. It just needs to come faster because I'm losing interest.
Well, we only have one more movie, right? Is it Black Panther's the last one this year?
This year, yeah.
Yeah.
And the first one next year is Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man 3. I feel like they hear the groans of people who are like, "Hey, like, where is this going? And let us know." And maybe it's not fair for us to be like, "Well, you did it one way the first time, and this is how we set things up, and we should expect that this way again." But it's just not really work. I mean, like, it just feels like, wow, we have this much content, and not like, okay, where's the overall like arc going? And
Ant-Man 3 is going to surprise a lot of people. I really do.
You think that's where a lot of that stuff is going to be, is in that movie?
I think that was because Ant-Man and the Wasp made its money, but not enough to the point where they're like, fuck yeah, we're going to make an Ant-Man 3. I think
Ooh, yes. So you think they're gonna like put all like the good stuff that'll set up Phase 4 in Quantumania to make sure that people go see it?
We already know Kang's in it.
Yeah.
And I really am sticking by that theory I have that the Fantastic Four show up in there too.
All right, what is this theory? I haven't read it, so please elaborate.
My thought is, what if they go into the quantum realm and they find an iteration of the Fantastic Four that have been trapped in there relatively ageless for years? And that's how you would introduce the fully formed Fantastic Four into the MCU without it being like a full-on origin story.
Like an origin story?
Yeah.
I actually don't mind that.
Not to mention, Kang is more related to the Fantastic Four than he is Ant-Man. We got a big Fantastic Four tease with Doctor Strange 2. They're on the lookout for a new director. All signs are pointing to Fantastic Four as the next big thing for the MCU.
And that big tease was John Krasinski, right?
Well, the question is, was that a one-off or was that a hey, we... Because now this is me putting on my tinfoil hat when I say this. John Watts quit Fantastic Four as the director of Fantastic Four right before Doctor Strange 2 came out. Doctor Strange 2 obviously has John Krasinski in it. John Krasinski is currently starring in Jack Ryan on Prime Video. After Doctor Strange 2 came out, they just announced that the next season of Jack Ryan is going to be the last season of Jack Ryan. Again,
so he'll have some time.
Yeah.
So you think that Mr. Watts and Mr. Krasinski are beefing?
I think Krasinski would prefer to write and direct, kind of like The Quiet Place, would prefer to direct his own, like prefer to call his own shot.
That's pretty fair. Yeah.
And they'd be willing to give him those keys to the castle because he's directed 2 hit movies already. Yeah. So
meanwhile, you've got John Watts, who's been working with Marvel Studios since 2015, 2016. He probably, understandably, could use a creative detour. Yeah. I think he's on good terms with Kevin Feige. I just think he was just burned out.
I think he's tired, yeah. It makes sense because the 5th anniversary of Homecoming, when I saw that pop up on like my timeline, I was like, they did like Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home in such a relatively short amount of time, and
2
those
years.
are like those are really big movies. So like I don't blame him for like being burnt out and like wanting to do something else creatively, even though when I first heard that he was going to do Fantastic Four, I was like, well, he's doing such a great job with Spider-Man, like I'm down with him to do Fantastic Four. But like, if you're creatively just burnt out on like that whole process and dealing in that world, then like it's best to back away. So and get someone that is like fully invested in doing it. But I like your theory more than most theories I see online. That's interesting. I can actually get behind that.
I'm kind of down with it too. But my only question would be is how did they get there from another universe, and that just adds in another universe, and that's where I was like, that's always said. It's like if you get too far down the rabbit hole of universes, like it's just like the Wanda theory. You take one of them out, and another theory, it's like what happened. So I like it though. Like if that's like an easy cut way to make it work.
What the other question is? What if they were in the MCU all along? They were just a space a spaceship accident that went wrong in like the 60s and nobody talked about it because it was just like, oh, that
Man.
sucked.
Ooh, I actually, I like that because then there's
Sam,
also
you
like,
need to write a Marvel movie, Sam.
dude, I like that because like if you think about it, then this Reed Richards wouldn't be the smartest to prove he's the smartest man alive or whatever. Give him like just a couple days, and then like it all clicks for him. Then it's like, oh, I know what all this stuff is because I was researching it back in the '60s, but we didn't have the technology and shit like that. So I definitely like that. Very, very smart.
Yeah,
And
I
they
agree.
they could tie it into fucking the space race of the '60s. Boom. All right, me and Sam are right in the origin for Fantastic
Yeah.
Four as we're talking.
Just
Fantastic
mail it to
Four
Marvel
were-
Studios.
Yeah, they were Fantastic Four were always a product of the atomic age.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
they came out in the early 60s. Space race is at its height. Tie
Yeah.
it to the space race.
And,
you know.
and if you don't think that Marvel Disney wants to get like, actually no, that even, oh my god, we're writing this fucking story. Skrulls are in NASA. They've been there forever. Like, oh, easy. Then you just flip that. Oh my god, this is
Big
awesome.
Show. I mean, I think they wrapped filming on it, but Secret Invasion's coming.
Secret Invasion. Yeah,
It's coming.
I'm
So-
very
I
interested.
am very interested to see what that is because like they always see like who's a Skrull. It's like, listen here, people. None of the Avengers are Skrulls. Let's just maybe an ancillary character but like no one is a Skrull for the past 15 years without us like knowing anything. Like not
How bananas would it have been if Jane Foster died? It wouldn't make sense in the story they were telling, but how much bananas would it have been if Jane Foster died in Love and Thunder and she turned into a Skrull?
that would be great. Actually, that'd be interesting.
It would undercut her arc.
The emotional part of her arc. Yeah,
Yeah, but just like that.
or it adds to Thor's arc to see how he reacts after. Does he just straight up kill the Skrull? Does he do this? Does he do that? You know what I'm saying?
I'm waiting for those moments where like characters that you thought were there the entire time. I guess you could argue Nick Fury and Far From Home, but yeah, I think, and I'll watch anything that Samuel L. Jackson and Emilia Clarke are in. So it'll. That's probably the show. Now that I'm saying this all out loud, not so much She-Hulk or anything like that. Secret Invasion is probably the show I'm the most excited about in terms of Marvel's upcoming slate.
what they're doing next.
100%. I would think that. Echo. I'm excited because Daredevil, obviously, like that's the only reason I'll watch that. But yeah, no, Secret Invasion is gonna be wild, and you get to bring back Ben Mendelsohn, so like he's always fantastic in anything he does. So, yeah, it's gonna be wild. And then I really hope that Samuel L. Jackson gets the same motherfucker. I really hope he does.
As always,
we almost got it in Infinity War. They timed it perfectly, where he
Really
starts
did.
it, then he disintegrates.
Yep. I'm not familiar too much with the comic books. Like with the Jane Foster dying, does she ever come back, or is that a wrap?
She doesn't die.
She doesn't die. Oh, she doesn't die. Oh well, shit.
Yeah,
Wait, who doesn't die?
In the comics, Jane doesn't die.
Oh, I thought in the Mighty Thor she does die at the end. I thought that was the end of it. That's what my buddy said.
Yeah, Jason Aaron and Russell Dauterman's Thor run. Yeah, it's the same. It's the cancer story arc, and every time she uses the hammer, it like purges the chemotherapy or whatever from her body. And what's a good way to put this? It's one of those things where, like in comics, where she dies but she doesn't. I guess like Stranger Things when like Max dies but doesn't.
Comes back as like a different.
Like her person, like she just comes back as a different person.
And like right now in the comics, like Jane Foster's Valkyrie.
Oh,
That's dope.
So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if the post-credit scene for Love and Thunder sets up more for Jane. For me, it feels more like a send-off. For me, it feels more like, hey, you did good. Like, welcome to the place where all the dead characters get to party.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too. I mean, I could see they could use it as a way to set her up for more, but I also thought it was like a send off to her
Yeah.
character as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't see. I got. This is why you're here with all the comic book knowledge because I had no idea.
Yeah. So that all happens. That comes to a head with her becoming Valkyrie in War of the Realms, which was also written by Jason Aaron, who wrote, co-created Gore the God Butcher with Asad Ribic, had done the Mighty Thor with Russell Dauterman. Like that was kind of the culmination of that. So, and it's one of the best Thor runs. If you get a chance, check out Jason Aaron's Thor. You won't be disappointed.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
So moving forward, if we get another Thor movie, and they ask Chris Hemsworth and Taika. Taika says he'll do it, of course, if Chris Hemsworth is down. Chris Hemsworth seems like he doesn't want to go anywhere. And Chris Hemsworth wants to do another one with Taika Waititi. I'm just going to say this now. I don't want him to direct another one.
Yeah, I'm saying that, too.
I want to see someone else do it at this point. And like, it's so weird to say that coming from what I thought he brought with Ragnarok. And I was like, it was so refreshing and so needed, I thought at the time. And
it was.
This was just so like way too out there for me. And like, and then in the interviews he's giving now, and I know he's like a jokey kind of person, so I can't tell if he's being like sarcastic or if he's being serious. But I mean, he seems to know that they leaned heavy on the jokes, and this is what this is what we intended to do, and like, you know what he's saying about all the scenes that they cut, and like, yeah, whatever the case may be, would just rather have someone with like a fresh blood, fresh insight, fresh mindset take over and direct another one if they're going to do another solo one. Not to take anything away from him because I think he's talented. I just think that like he did what he needed to do with Ragnarok, and then maybe that was just enough. And it was like, okay, this is too much. And then you find someone that, like you said, to create that balance of like, okay, if you want the humor, you can have it, but there has to be that sweet spot, and that sweet spot, like you guys have both said, was like where that character was in Infinity War. I think that's where you kind of need it now, and like you need to dial it back just a little bit, and to not make him a joke, like Jack said earlier. He's a god, and like he like it's like sure we can lean in on Chris Hemsworth being a funny guy. He's really good with comedy, but like he's also really good at those moments where he needs to kind of dial it back and be serious, and he can play all those angles, and I just think they need to kind of go back to that. I don't know what director I would want to take over at this point. But I just think they need someone new.
Sure.
Just based on like the finished product that we got.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I totally think that's correct. Like off the top of my dome, like, do you put like Matthew Vaughn? Matthew Vaughn? Like, if you gave me like a King Arthur type esque thing with Thor, I'd be down with that. Like that wasn't a good movie. I love Charlie Hunnam, but I love. No, wait, it was a Guy Ritchie who did that. I'm sorry, Guy Ritchie. Yeah, so Guy Ritchie. I'm thinking of The Gentleman when I said Vaughn because I just watched it yesterday. But yeah, give me like a Guy Ritchie type like Thor movie. I think that would be badass. Or like who directed The Accountant? Ben Affleck.
Or Matthew Vaughn. I could do that too.
Yeah, Matthew Vaughn too. Yeah, Matthew Vaughn would be dope too. I just think someone with a little bit more.
Or here, let me throw this one. George, if we're keeping it in the New Zealand, Australian area, George Miller.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'd be really good.
He's working with Hemsworth right now on Furiosa. Maybe that's
right. Oh, and then
really
you can. Yeah, that'd be cool. And then you could like have Charlize Theron as well.
So
we already have Charlize Theron, right? She's Clea.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how you use Clea with Thor, but
you mentioned the director of The Accountant. That's Gavin O'Connor. And
yes,
he did Warrior.
Gavin O'Connor.
He did Warrior, which is a great movie too. I don't
those
know.
are my 2 picks. 3 picks, yeah. Though, like what I was saying, like a more manly. Not saying Taika Waititi is not manly in any sense, sensitive crowd these days, but a more like gritty man.
Less zany and less like whimsical and cute and funny and like
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know, more, just gritty, tough. And gritty is so overplayed because like you just hear it for every movie, but like I literally want Thor with a little dirt on him. Like I want him in the grime, like getting like, a badass story. So that's what I would say, yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, this is so weird for me to say because like I've said it several times on our podcast with Jack, and Jack has always been like, they need to dial it back a little bit. They need to dial it back. And I was like, no, Ragnarok was perfect. More of that. So now I feel weird being like, no, less of that.
There's always a balance. Always a balance.
There's always a balance, and we are all entitled to change our minds, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on I just to kind of start with final thoughts. I want to go back what Sam said earlier. I think the reaction it's getting online is a bit too harsh that I've seen. It's like you would think it's like the worst thing ever made. Yeah, I mean, like it's not a train wreck, and I would even say it's bad. It's just like I think I was just more disappointed than it. Like I was entertained in the moment, and I'm
just disappointed.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But like but I still would like if someone to ask me like, is it something I should see just to be entertained for like a couple hours? And it's entertaining and it's fine in the moment. I just think overall, compared to some of the other films that they've done, like it is lacking in that department a bit, and there are some pacing issues. It sucks that we'll never see what he cut because I'm wondering what he did cut. I know he cut like Jeff Goldblum's character off from Ragnarok, and he cut some of the he cut some of the transformation scene that like Jane Foster had when she like turns into the Mighty Thor after the hammer calls to her or whatever. I mean, he cut out a lot of stuff, and Natalie Portman said there was a lot that they cut, and she said good stuff, and then Taika on the other hand said like, well, it's cut because it wasn't good enough. So it just depends on like who you want to believe on that. But yeah, that was I don't think it deserves the we see this all the time, like just doing what we do, and we have to part of my job sometimes is to do a roundup of like first reactions or like what people are saying about a movie, and I was like, oh, here we go. And then this is what this whole weekend has been like with Thor. It's not nearly as bad as people are saying, and it shouldn't cause as much anger and frustration. But just a little disappointing. I just expected something a little bit better. I didn't expect to like Doctor Strange more. I will say that too. I thought I was going to enjoy this more of the two, and I definitely I definitely thought Doctor Strange was better.
Coming from the guy who liked Thor more than the two of you, I actually am having a hard time figuring out what I like more.
Oh,
I'm probably gonna lean. I'm probably gonna if I just think about it a little bit. Obviously, I think I'm gonna go with Doctor Strange just because it's a better story. It's already on Disney Plus, so I get to watch it again all the time.
It's accessible.
It's accessible. And Sam Raimi's dope. So yeah, from that point, but yeah, it's not too far off. My point, but yeah. But yeah, I would say also at the end of the day, I think I said it before, just if they flopped the tones of these movies, it would have been better. Instead of going way funny, than to try and ride that funny rather than being like, oh, like, because that was outwardly funny, like it was wildly funny. So to ride that is like kind of like doing an Anchorman thing where you're trying to ride the fucking jokes rather than being the other way around where it's like, oh, these subtle jokes work. Let's run with that more now. So so great movie, fun, watch it.
And
fantastic.
Small compliment. It's not the worst Phase 4 film. I still give that to Eternals. So there's that. So we'll just go
Yeah, I mean, for me, Thor, the weakest. It's not a terrible movie, but yeah, Love and Thunder is of the Phase is probably for me. Doctor Strange, it's between Doctor Strange 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home is the top spot. I really
Shang-Chi was good too. I keep forgetting because I
completely forget about Shang-Chi. Yeah,
and this has to do more with like the timing. Like I loved that movie when I saw it opening weekend, and I don't know why I haven't watched it again since because I did like it. a lot.
Yeah, Shang-Chi's good. Black Widow's got some great action, I thought.
Yeah, the action in that movie is really good. It's debatable on whether or not it's like a pointless movie or not, but I think in the scheme of like giving her own movie finally, I won't call it pointless or worthless. But I kind of forget about that too because it's just when these came out, like it's just like, oh yeah, that was a part of that phase as well.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, it's it does. I'm curious to see how if they stick the landing with the phase. I want them to. Lord knows I want them to.
I do not want them to fail. So yes, I want them to.
That means there's a lot of expectation riding on Ryan Coogler now as we go into Black Panther.
No pressure, bro. At all. Like no pressure at all. And he has so much to deal with, right? He has to deal with like how they're going to handle the
he's a filmmaker stuff. He's a filmmaker for me that has not misfired yet.
Right?
Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther. That dude makes movies, and
he does.
He does.
Yeah, I am curious too, and I know he had a huge unexpected hurdle to go through, and like I hope, all things considered, like I'm actually glad that there's so much of that about that movie that we don't know yet, where it's like, oh, how are they going to handle this? Like, I'm all for waiting that one out because I know it had to be a tough situation trying to figure out where to take that now, and it's a lot of pressure on but he, like you said, he's made great film after great film so far, so I have faith in what he can do, hopefully. But yeah, I think that about covers it. I wanted to, coming into this episode, like when I first saw the movie on Thursday, I want to be like, oh, that was so good. But they all can't be like 100% winners. So, but it was good to have like a nice, honest discussion about what we liked and didn't like and I think we kind of echo like people who are reasonably talking about the film's like flaws and like attributes. Like I think we kind of align with like people who are like, yeah, this works, and that didn't necessarily work for me, but that worked for you. Like, I think I can see also
at the end of the day, we recognize it's a movie.
Yeah, and some people who have like no affiliation in this business at all, whether they're not filmmakers, they're not producers, they're not actors, they don't write about like there's like just regular people. That's why I find it so hard sometimes to write bad reviews, because like some people like go into it where it's so personal. And like the attack on the movie is so personal that it's like, dude, like, well, you make one then. Like you go out there and like, put something like that together. It's not easy. I
never judge a person on if they like or dislike a movie. I judge them on how they react to other people not agreeing with them on
with
that
them.
Yeah. That's the
once you start calling me an asshole and other derogatory names, then it's like, all right, we can't have this discussion anymore.
I'll block you on Twitter and forget about you before I've had my first cup of coffee the next day.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a fun debate, and you've turned it into like, oh, now we're talking about my race. Cool, thanks, man. Nah, we gotta block you.
Yeah.
But yeah, what we have coming up next, I guess I should ask Sam now. We talk about it later too. We are doing a 10th anniversary episode for The Dark Knight Rises very soon. And you are our comic book guy, so if you do want to be on that one, you're more than welcome to be on that.
As long as it's not while I'm in San Diego, because I'm going to be slammed.
Yeah. We're gonna we'll figure it out, and especially if if my editor in chief is like, hey, remember that pass? Here you go.
Yeah, unless you want to record it in person. I'm gonna be slammed.
Yeah. But we'll figure it out. That'll be actually a really fun one to discuss because people have a lot of feelings about that movie, even like 10 years later.
Sure. I remember having feelings about it when I saw it 10 years ago.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I did too. I felt good about it, and I remember thinking everyone else is going to feel great about it. And I was like, oh, people didn't really. I thought they stuck the landing. Okay, whatever, guys.
I have a complicated stance with it, and we can get into all that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I remember back in the day there was a heated debate in the in high school about if Dark Knight Rises was actually better than Dark Knight. It, yeah,
That's a take. That is a take.
it's not a take that I was a part of. But yeah,
I did not participate in said take.
I did not participate in said take. I have a
You
bigger
know-
crux with Christopher Nolan's Batman on the whole, but it's nothing that like not to Jesus Chris, we've been talking forever, but not to go back to what Gabe was saying about reviews, but like yeah, I don't think I'd be able to write reviews because my grips would be very personal, and that's why I would be like this movie bothers me. It wouldn't like really so. Yeah, but we can get to that into that later. But yeah, for sure. Sam, hop on anytime, guy.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure. We love having you. And Jack,
Well,
unfortunately, since since Owen's not here, you have to be the Owen. I know you hate it.
No, it's like I keep fumbling it every time. Owen does it so well. All right,
No,
well,
he has a voice for it.
he's got the voice for it. But yeah, no, just wanted to say first off, Sam, as always, thank you for hopping on. If you want to plug your socials, we'll put them in the bio or just give them a shout out right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just Sam Stone Show on Twitter and Instagram. If you're looking to get that noise, and just read my stuff on CBR, Popverse, and Looper and SVG. So.
Guys,
Yeah,
the guy's everywhere. You'll find him somewhere, but he's got a lot of information. He's good, and we appreciate him coming on every single time, especially when he shows me up in his comic book knowledge. On top of that, as always, we have got to thank our partners at Playlist Studios for setting us up, putting it together, and doing all the gritty work that me and Gayes just don't have time for. And we appreciate everything that they do. You can find this episode and the rest of our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. Now, into my thing. Listeners, you have a homework assignment. Again, it's been 2 weeks since you've had one. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate. Don't rate. Comment. Say something in the comments to make sure that we can get it online. We want to interact with you. We want that algorithm on our side. So, if you know someone who hasn't listened to the podcast yet, your homework assignment is to tell them about it. Give them a listen. Give them your favorite episode. But we want to hear you guys. And as always, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
Yep. See, that's your sweet spot. I like it.
Yeah.
Peace out, guys.
I get when I get into it. Yeah.